After an absolute banger of a trilogy, unfortunately Naughty Dog's contract with Universal was about to expire, something that the developers were already getting ready for in the midst of making Crash Warped. Knowing that their precious Orange IP was about to be taken away from them, our mischievous dogs decided to self-sabotage and end the series on their own terms. And while you would expect that this would mean completely phoning it in and creating an atrociously lazy and soulless game, this was not the Naughty Dog way of doing things.
I'll tell you what, since Universal wants to fuck us over so badly, I know how we're gonna fuck them hoes up. Here's my idea. We got 9 months. We're gonna do this. We make a fucking kart racer. Yeah. Inspired by Kitty Kong. There's gonna be an alien invasion. An alien fucking slave destroy the world. Fucking turn it into a concrete parking lot. And the only way to win is by fucking racing. By racing, bitch. And that's how we're gonna kill the franchise. We're gonna jump the shark, kill the franchise. Nobody develops any more games because this is our fucking childhood, our fucking legacy. No, I didn't have too much to drink. You fuck yourself, Jason.
Staying true to their standards of quality and respecting their fans, Andy, Jason, and company decided to go out on a high note. It is no secret that Crash Team Racing is an awesome game, so I'm not even gonna pretend and draw it out. This game will get a damn good score without a single question. Any lesser team, hell, any sane team wouldn't have even tried to make one more last game in a given series within just 8 months after their latest release, let alone a game that is a whole different genre. Naughty Dog didn't just want to bury the franchise, they wanted to make it the most technically impressive, fun, engaging, and mechanically refined funeral in the history of funerals. So they pulled out all the stops and made one of the greatest kart racing games in the history of gaming that also celebrates some of the best members of the Bandicoot's cast of characters. And while yes, according to Jason Rubin and Andy Gavin, the game's premise was an attempt to jump the proverbial shark via the introduction of a goofy, zany, inexplicable extraterrestrial alien big bad. And Naughty Dog did seriously expect the fans to react negatively to this. This was, in my opinion, just honestly misguided. Because think about it, is a villainous green racer from outer space really that out of place in a franchise with mad scientists creating armies of mutated anthro-animals? Talking ancient tiki masks housing powerful spirits of long-dead wise witch doctors. Some blue guy from the future with a clock in his chest who invented time travel and beats people up with a giant tuning fork. And an orbital space station mounted cannon that can shoot out mind control rays covering the entire planet. You know, personally, I don't think so. An alien definitely doesn't seem too outlandish for this setting. Hell, we had actual UFOs in Crash 3. And thus, the introduction of nitrous oxide, the alien conqueror intent on seeking out the galaxy's greatest racers to challenge, coming to Earth and threatening to turn it into a giant concrete parking lot, fits right the hell in with the rest of the wonderfully loony world of Crash Bandicoot. You are listening to Life Crushing 40s FM, where I, as your host, have to come to terms with my midlife crisis. And on today's news, the Earth is in jeopardy. A strange alien vessel has appeared in orbit and made contact with us. The alien interloper demands the Earth's greatest speed champion to face him in a race for the fate of our planet. A very weird demand, we know, and this is what they had to say.
Hey, people of Earth, give me your best racer, or I'ma nuke this bitch of a planet and use it as my parking lot.
Anyway, back to your scheduled programming.
With the fate of their planet at stake, all of our characters, both heroes and villains, set out to hone their racing skills to perfection in order to face Oxide and defend the Earth's freedom. Unlike most other games in this genre, CTR does indeed have a story, or as it's called here, adventure mode. Very similar to Diddy Kong Racing, a game that Crash Team Racing takes quite a bit of inspiration from. Definitely more than from that of Mario Kart 64, and rightfully so, I'd say. No offense, but despite its immense visual charm that I actually love, mechanically it is, in my opinion, inferior, or at least way less satisfying to me than Donkey Kong Racing and especially Crash Team Racing. When embarking on your journey to beating Oxide, the original version of the game offers you a choice between 8 primary characters, and the character you choose will be the only one you can play throughout the story mode, and given that all of them have different stats, you gotta choose wisely. Or you could go into the arcade mode, try a few of them out in preparation for the adventure mode, and thus pick out your favorite. The adventure mode is structured as a series of beautifully done hub areas with portals leading to the race and challenge tracks associated with a given area. Each area has 4 race tracks. These are the primary stages required to beat the base story. Every time you finish first in a race, you earn yourself a trophy, the primary collectible required for unlocking more racetracks and getting to race against the bosses, and thus to progress the main story. Luckily, unlike a certain quote-unquote party game that came out a year later, Crash Team Racing's other collectibles are purely optional for the sake of unlocking extra characters and 100% completion. So you're thankfully not gonna be forced to collect a certain amount of relics, CTR tokens, and gems on top of the trophies just to earn the very privilege of facing the bosses and unlocking more levels. Fuck. The Crash Bash video sure is gonna be, interesting, to say the least. Anyway, speaking of optional collectibles, the CTR tokens are acquired by playing a challenge mode of collecting C, T, and R letters hidden in different areas across the primary racetracks, and coming in first in these races. But the purple CTR tokens specifically are unlocked by playing Crystal Challenge stages, where the player must collect all the crystals scattered over the battle arena tracks. The relics are yet again earned via the act of speedrunning the primary stages, which is even more fitting here, given that this is a racing game. And there are also time trials that have nothing to do with relic challenge races, as in those you're at least granted time stop crates and a time reduction bonus upon smashing them all. But in the time trials specifically, there is no such thing. This is a pure test of speed and the player's knowledge of the track's layout. And at first, this distinction might confuse you, as there seems to be little to no original incentive to these trials, until you score first in the leaderboard for the first time and you realize that you've just unlocked the Entropy Ghost to race against, who always follows a set path, much like your own ghosts that appear every time you set a new time and can be turned on during the trial to see and analyze how you can improve on your previous attempts. A really awesome mechanic. And once you beat all of his times, you'll be awarded with Entropy as a playable racer in the arcade modes. And you will be given access to racing against the noticeably harder Oxide Ghost. The gems are granted upon a completion of gem cups. The cups themselves are collections of 4 racetracks each, where the player scores points depending on the placement in each of the races. But to unlock these cups, you'd first need to earn 4 CTR tokens of a given color, associated with the color of the gem, of course. And with every cup cleared and gem earned, the player is rewarded with an extra playable character. This is how you unlock the ability to race as the boss characters and also as Fake Crash. And speaking of the base stages, the racetracks in this game are just pure eye candy. Aesthetically, they're also creative, colorful, and simply beautiful, especially for the time. The complexity of these tracks ranges from the relaxing and breezy circular layout of Coco Park, a stage that for me actually is the perfect way to unwind after a long day at work and enjoy all the bright pastel colors. To the sharp turns and hazardous traps of Engine Labs, the loopy spiral structure of Oxide Station, or the simple yet perfect encapsulation of the difficult and challenging yet fair test of the driver's skills of Slide Coliseum and Turbo Track. And the perfectly tight and sharp controls with the immensely satisfying mechanic of drift boosting make it so damn fun to zoom through these stages as fast as you possibly can. Especially when you can uncover and successfully use each racetrack's shortcut. Some of these shortcuts are rather intuitively simple, just cutting a few corners. Some are actual freaking puzzles like the ingenious hidden path in Tiger Temple. But some are so well hidden that they'll have you driving around anxiously trying to find them. Like that one turn on your trip you know deep down you definitely missed. But you're far too deep in denial and just keep driving. Yeah, that one took a while. However, I do have very small gripes with a couple of the tracks, two in particular, Papu Pyramid and Dragon Mines. Technically, my issue is only with these two immensely clunky and crampy segments of the tracks. Granted, my lack of skill does play a part, but I'm sure that the vast majority of players and even some more hardcore pros would agree with me that at the very least, these segments drastically hinder your flow.
The bosses this time around are Ripperoo, Papu Papu, Komodo Joe, Pinstripe Potteroo, and of course, the green bastard Oxide himself.
These are all one-on-one races against a given boss, with an extra distinction being that they have a limitless supply of a certain type of power-up. And a part of me wonders what would have been if these, or at least some of them, weren't boss races, but instead proper boss fights. Perhaps as a way to give the player a tease of the battle mode, but I guess that would go against the plot premise of CTR. After all, Oxide demands not a fight but instead a race. And so, as we beat all the other challengers to the title of the Earth's greatest race champion, it is up to the player's character of choice to compete against the antagonistic alien for the fate of the planet. And not only does Oxide spam the hell out of his power-ups, but he also does a false start both when you race him for the first time, and after going for the full completion, the cheating bastard.
Hey,
Who
Oxide!
are you supposed to...
There you are, you green cheating prick. You see, Oxide, today was supposed to be my one day off work this week. But you just had to ruin it, didn't you? You see, I can snap your neck. And don't get me wrong, I will. But I'll get away with it so simply, so easily, without a single goddamn repercussion. Because nobody gives a shit about you. The alien conqueror from outer space, bent on conquering and destroying other worlds. The greatest racer in the galaxy. Yet nobody will care once you are gone. But other people who deserve it way more than you, I can't kill. I can't snap their necks. I can't bash in their skulls. Or at the very least, I cannot easily get away with it. Because you see, those rich people, politicians, whatnot, they got the world on their side. But you do not have that luxury. So I'll take this small victory and enjoy the rest of my day.
Having been defeated by the player, Oxide flees humiliated and the Earth can breathe a sigh of relief. And while this game wasn't the end for the Crash Bandicoot series like what Naughty Dog were partially hoping for, this was nonetheless a wonderful celebration of their time with the franchise, with the all-star cast of characters, and with each and every track being either a tribute to one of them, or also some of the most iconic environments from the previous 3 games. Crash Team Racing wasn't a product of malice, but a child of love from the team that had to face the reality of their creation no longer belonging to them. This was a bittersweet love letter to the fans that's both aesthetically a masterpiece and mechanically refined to perfection. And if I were to go on any longer about just the original Crash Team Racing alone, this video would turn into an incoherent mess of giddy and joy with absolutely zero structure. So I'll just say this outright. The Naughty Dog CTR gets 9.5 out of 10. With the only things that ever so slightly edge it out of being absolutely flawless being the pace-breaking segments like those in Papu's Pyramid and Dragon Mines, and the fact that because of a harsh deadline and some technical difficulties, Oxide is impossible to unlock and play as in the original game. But other than these very minor flaws, you can see why the original CTR is still being enjoyed by the fans all these years later. And as the series would go on to jump from dev team to dev team, it would have quite a rocky history. But in my opinion, overall, still very enjoyable and retaining quite a lot of charm for the most part. All of those subsequent adventures hold a very special place in my heart. All of them are canon to me, even though they rarely, if ever, truly lived up to the level of quality set by the first 4 games. However, there would be some major standout moments, and now the time has come to talk about the game's remake in the face of Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel. That was developed by the immensely talented and passionate people over at Beanox. And while it does reuse some insane character assets in the visual language that I levied quite a bit of criticism towards in the last 3 videos, Beanox have tweaked and improved them quite noticeably. Like, this game actually manages to make the Insane Crash model look okay, or sometimes even pretty good, which is in my opinion a very solid achievement. The CTR racetracks have all been not just faithfully recreated, but in some cases even reimagined in a way. The layout, of course, remains the same, but there are so many new background details, it is all just so gorgeous. Oh, and some things have actually been mechanically improved, like the Papu Pyramid segment, and a lot of the shortcuts just feel way better. And most of those shortcuts actually give you a little bit more leeway, like for example that big shortcut in Papu's Pyramid where you jump over an entire portion of the track. And the controls, oh baby, the controls too weren't simply remade. They feel even tighter, even more responsive. The turning feels so damn good. Even, hell, especially as my favorite class of speed-focused cards. And the CTR Drift Boost system has been combined with Crash Nitro Card's mechanic of making the boost even more potent if you activate it at the last possible moments, for some of that extra risk-reward. And as you can see, there is an additional sign of when to boost, the glow of your wheels. Oh, and Adventure Mode also introduces a new mode, Nitro Fuel, giving you an option to swap and customize your character of choice at any point in the story. Such wonderful quality of life improvements that I have to applaud the team at Beanox. You guys outdid yourselves on this project to the point where it became my personal all-time favorite comfort game. Even surpassing the original in terms of how much I've played it. And I used to play the original almost daily all throughout not just my early childhood, but also middle and high school years. And your guys' animation team just left me slack-jawed with how fantastic all the individual character animations and especially the cutscenes look. Oxide is just such a pompous, punchable prick in the best way possible. Ripperoo's insanity has been cranked up to 11, which I'm just so thankful for. He's one of my top favorites in the series. And Papu Papu? Oh, yeah. Papu Papu has always been a bit of a contentious figure, and while in the first game, I genuinely don't think he's in any way a racist or an offensive caricature. Though it's obviously not my place to say. In the first game, Papu Papu was after all simply protecting his village, who are all just a peaceful and neutral tribe living on the Insanity Island. Protecting them from the tidal wave of destruction that is our orange anarchist Crash Bandicoot. So he was entirely in the right. We beat up an innocent person in the first game. But in CTR, he kind of is a stereotypical caricature. And the Nitro-fueled remake does feel far less offensive in that regard, making him feel more cute and adorable rather than dumb and primitive, I suppose. But I still wish his dialogue was rewritten a bit more. And on that slightly uncomfortable note, I do have to bring up one admittedly shameful instance from this channel that I was only made aware of quite recently. An instance from the opening skit of the Crash 1 review specifically. I have been recently informed by a wonderful lass I know, and I've done a little bit of research after that, and I do have to own up and apologize for the fact that I addressed Aku Aku in that skit with the phrase Ooga Booga. Me being born in a post-Soviet Eastern European country, I never knew or learned of the implications of that phrase. While writing the script for that scene where I needed my character to meet Aku Aku for the first time and, in a drunken stupor, being unable or unwilling to properly remember his name for comedic effect, me being an absolute Crash Bandicoot nut to my core, I was fully convinced that I was only referencing the fact that in Crash of the Titans, Aku Aku's signature sound was changed to the aforementioned phrase. So most of my life, from childhood to adulthood, I thought that this was simply a silly bit of gibberish and nothing more. Because the only times I ever heard it were, as I've previously stated, in Crash of the Titans, or whenever someone would use it instead of peekaboo. I did not intend for any malice or anything derogatory when writing that scene. But I say this not as an excuse. I do apologize for my ignorance and seek to not fuck up like this going further. Alright, back to the funny orange Bandicoot driving without a license. Komodo Joe's menacing entrance and mysterious exit is just the best treatment the character has ever received. And of course, Pinstripe's scenes full of hammy Italian mafioso charisma are just top-notch. The entirety of Nitro Fuel's adventure mode is a fantastically rejuvenated recreation of the original. A very rare instance of a video game remake justifying its existence in the best possible way. Unlike the Insane Trilogy. But shockingly, it doesn't end there. Beanox also remade all the Crash Nitro Kart stages, added its roster to the game, introduced character and card customization with just so many options, and added more tracks and characters drawing from the entirety of Crash Bandicoot's history throughout its life cycle, as a part of their many Grand Prix seasons. Oh, that was just the best time to be a Crash fan. Just like how the original CTR was the celebration of the 3 games before it, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled was the biggest fiesta honoring the legacy of Crash Bandicoot to its fullest, celebrating the 23 at the time years of the Manic Marsupial's escapades. Thinking back on how much content we got in the span of that year, I feel such an immense sense of longing for that time. Unfortunately, this celebration was cut criminally short by, of course, fucking Activision of all people. And on that topic, we also can't forget that where Beanox made Nitro Fueled the best love letter to the series it could possibly be, Activision's grubby hands were not far behind. Because all those wonderful customization options, cards, paint jobs, decals, wheels, skins, and new characters, all being pulled from Crash's expansive legacy. Almost all of it had to be unlocked with the in-game currency, something that you can only ever earn if you're connected online. Yes, even if you're not playing online multiplayer, you still need an online connection. Otherwise, you will not earn any coins, and the in-game shop itself will be inaccessible. Therefore, you won't be able to access most of this cosmetic content. Oh, and unsurprisingly, despite their outright lie before and during the game's initial release, that the game won't have any microtransactions, they did in fact make the coins purchasable with real money. After all, that's what they were always designed to do. Fuck you, Activision.
Hey, you want a quadruple large pepperoni pizza topped with tears of poor innocent developers?
Oh, but of course, yes. Please come in. Oh, wait. Who are you?
Hey, I'm Mr. Schroding's lawyer. You can't do it.
Given that so much phenomenal content is only accessible via shelling out real money, or grinding the hell out of the game for an ungodly amount of time. No matter how much I wanted to give this game the highest score possible, I simply can't. Activision's sheer skullduggery, focusing on a quick buck over giving their developers the breathing time they need, brings the score down heavily. Like they had a whole dedicated monetization department breathing down the necks of people at Beanox, and thus focusing on the wrong things and not giving their developers the time needed to address the stuff that actually needed to be fixed. Activision left the game in the state that we have now, with the scummy monetization system and the loading screens that even after the game's support has been cut, can rival those of the initial printing of the Wrath of Cortex discs and Sonic 06. And so, with a heavy heart, I give Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled a 7.5 out of 10. This is a game that easily could have had a 10, should have had it, had the higher-ups not been such total twats. Seriously, fuck you, Activision! Because the monetization and the loading screens aside, as an experience, it is phenomenal. I love this game so much. But if only there was a way to freely enjoy and celebrate all the phenomenal content full of passionate love for the series developed by Beanox, without having to trudge through the slimy swamp that is Activision's business practice. If only there was a way to unlock all of these characters and customization options, including the brand tie-ins and other exclusive skins, and maybe to also have it somehow run on PC, where the game wasn't initially released. Alright, I'll cut the crap, because the game's life cycle is over and Beanox will not in any way be negatively affected by this. I urge you, if you can, find a certain way to play the Switch version of CTR Nitro Fueled on PC, and use a certain special cheat code to get access to all the unlockables. Of course, the topic of emulation is a bit of a legal gray area. Now, see, if you have a Switch and own a legal copy of the game, the files for both of which are definitely and totally impossible to find online if one knows where to look, and there certainly aren't any specialized video tutorials for any of this. Yeah, this is the perfect way to preserve all of the hard work done by Beanox whenever the official Nitro Fuel servers inevitably shut down, and thus making most of the game's content completely inaccessible to a potential new player playing the game for the first time in the future. Because remember, the item shop is only accessible if you're connected online, and you can only ever earn Wumpa coins if you are connected online. Damn, the reality of zero ownership over content in the age of digital media managed to taint even our favorite Bandicoot. But not if you have the game emulated. And so the less than legal way to play Nitro Fueled, unlocking all the in-store content and more for free, gets an absolute 10 out of... Wait. Oh, come on. Activision can't possibly ruin this. Oh. the issue of the loading times is still prevalent. That's... Alright, even here Activision has managed to fuck us over. And while the issue of loading times may not seem that big a deal on paper, I'll yet again remind you, they are so long that you can play the entirety of the original CTR's adventure mode just in the loading screen times of the Nitro-fueled adventure mode. And so, because of that single drawback, the less than legal way to play Nitro-fueled gets 9.5 out of 10. Beanox, if by some miracle of a chance one of you guys is watching this video, thank you for all your work you blessed us with and the love you showed the series. And I am so sorry for all the shit you and your peers had to go through under Activision. And with that said, until next time, my wonderful lads, lassies, and everyone in between, take care.